One of these days, I will get the time exactly right. Good evening, everyone. My name is John Maddox, and welcome to the program Tigers Tonight. I'm your host, joined as always by the best co-host in all the land. We'll start with Brian. How in the world are you, sir?
Not too bad, considering, but let me give a hip, hip hooray to you. I'm so glad that you were able to come on. Yeah, I'm sure you had double the pain. But yeah, we'll talk about it. And boy, it's a good thing that we didn't have the podcast Saturday night or Sunday because I'd be extremely upset and say things like it was pathetic and stuff like that. So it's a good thing we had a couple days off just to regather things. So now with a clear head, I can honestly say it was still pathetic.
Yeah. Larry, you are, of course, in the palatial Marley Manor, as I'm in the Maddox Manor here in beautiful, scenic, crime-free Hernando, Mississippi. I think you'll agree with me that the crimes were committed on Saturday in Birmingham. How are you, sir?
I'm terrible. It was my fault. It was totally everybody. Look, I have never been to a road game that Memphis has won in my life, and I really thought this was going to be the one, guys. I thought we got this. There's no way the CTG curse. The CTG curse is way more powerful than I thought. This is whatever this is. The demon that dwells within my soul is it just welled up, and it did something I didn't think was possible. I did not think there was any way that UAB team could beat Memphis. I just didn't. Look, guys, I watched them come off the bus. UAB come off the bus and walk up. They looked like there was a million other places they wanted to be. And I was, I just said, hey, I figured my wife and I were sitting there talking about, we could leave in the third quarter, go find a.
Well, you still left early.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I will never, ever, ever go to a road game again. That's on me, and so it's just egregious. And guys, look, let's go ahead and get into it. I mean, it's the opening drive, the soft defense, soft play calling. We played soft. This was a classic coming off of a bye week. You got a bad team. We talked about it last week. You got to be ready, go out there, be a professional, and play football. And they did none of that. None of it.
Well, I got lots of problems with you people, and now you're going to hear about it. Yeah, for those who don't know Brian's reference, I actually had a total right hip replacement on Friday, and
Yes.
I'm walking around. I think I'm doing remarkably well. Saturday did not help in my recovery. That first drive, I'll give away because somebody on Twitter said, beware of the first drive. And that's that scripted drive. I think it was Gabe who, mentioned that scripted drive, beware of it. Absolutely right. Like you don't know what you're going to get. Ryan
Right.
admitted we're watching high school tape of this guy. I probably wouldn't have said that publicly, but it was probably true. We're scrambling a little bit. We didn't know what we were getting. We obviously don't know what we're getting as a coaching staff. But then, they return the touchdown and all is well in Tigerland. And then as the game goes on,
And we stopped them. We stopped them. Next drive, right? We stopped them.
But
get the ball back, do nothing.
As the game goes on, I start questioning, why are we playing so much zone? Because you look up and it's 3rd and 4, and we're in cover 2 with guys 7 yards off the ball. We made it far too easy for that quarterback and that coaching staff. We made it we didn't challenge them. We didn't have a pass rush. We didn't throw anything at them. We just thought, and Coach Cal used to talk about this theory all the time. We're not good enough to just roll the ball out there and win.
Right.
That's just not how Memphis is built. And I mean, as on painkillers as I was Saturday, I was really pissed off too, because I just thought that was an unacceptable performance by a team that has much higher aspirations than bowl eligibility, has much higher aspirations than winning 10 games. Guys, this was a team that had a 46% chance to make the playoffs.
Right.
Playoffs? Yeah, I'm talking about the playoffs. This is a team that had a 46% chance per FPI and all that, and it's gone. Now, but hear me out. All is not lost. Your goals are all technically still in front of you, but Brian, what got removed on Saturday was all the margin for error.
Yeah, and when I look at the sequence, like Larry talked about that first possession, very inconsistent. I mean, you had a 3rd down and 5 on the 47, and you do a quarterback draw that gets 2 yards, and on 4th and 3. I mean, it seemed like there was, decent pass protection, but no one can get open, and that has been a problem where wide receivers in the past couldn't get open, and he just throws it away. I mean, there's just certain
Yeah, I would have
inconsistencies that,
punted there, guys. I would have
yeah,
punted there
and he get him deep.
and pin them deep. So that's neither here nor there. None of that matters because let me tell you, here's where I'm pissed the most at. Okay, all that's aside, into the game, you got the ball on the 1-inch line. Now, did DeRosier score or not? I don't know. That's really close, but you don't go up and stop and look around. You snap the MFing ball and you go forward and you score your touchdown and you kick your extra point and you go into overtime. It's that damned simple. And the fact that we did that, I wanted to murder everyone in Birmingham.
I look at that and I get what you guys are saying, right? Because I say this on Twitter all the time. So many penalties that Memphis commits, they are really simple to avoid. Snap the damn ball. Just snap the ball. And my whole problem with it was you have a backup quarterback. You ask him and an offensive line that has a propensity to do this. Memphis on that drive got their 4th and 5th pre-snap penalty of the game. They had 6 total penalties. And you look back over the weeks, and this is a propensity that Memphis has, is to pre-snap penalties. I'm not here to call anybody out, but it's usually the same couple guys. If you watch football, you know who it is. But why are you asking, even if you have not committed those penalties?
There's no reason to do it right there.
Stay in the damn huddle. If you don't want to snap the ball, sugar huddle. Don't go up and ask your offensive line. I mean, I know that there was nobody in the stadium, but in a pressure situation, on the road, we talked about this. Was it the 13 UCF game that I got so mad because Justin asked Dorsey to throw a pass at the end of the game? Don't ask guys to do what they're not comfortable doing. Don't put them in that spot. And that's exactly what happened on Saturday. You ask guys who have struggled all year to do this. Brian, right in the middle of games in the second quarter with 9 minutes to go, we've had the same 2 dudes false start. So what are we doing? Why are we asking these guys to do that?
Yeah, and the whole game, there was just a bunch of again inconsistencies. But you can look at the defense too. This was the worst defensive effort I've seen in quite a long time. When you look at the big plays, what did
the running back had the long touchdown?
You give up Iverson Hooks 11 catches, 172 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And I don't think anybody was close on 7 or 8 of those catches. How are you not guarding him?
Yeah, UAB had 16 big plays, rushing or passing. Memphis had 5. I mean, there's so many times that Memphis had a chance. Because I'm going through my notes here, and it was always on 3rd down. It seemed like when they got the big play. There's a couple of times where UAB had 2nd and 12 on the 19-yard line, and I think this was in the second quarter, and then all of a sudden you give up an 81-yard touchdown, where the middle linebacker blitzed and the safety had a poor angle. and then all of a sudden
No,
now it's
yeah,
24-14.
you're right. But the safety, what the safety did, the middle linebacker blitzed, and he was coming up trying to cover in case, because they kept throwing that little over the
Yeah.
behind the linebacker pass. He took 2 steps up, and the kid just ran by him. But I mean, look, all that aside, I'm going to tell you, none of that matters. You're right. We should have never been in the spot we were, but we had the momentum. We had everything going our way at the end. Look, you score that touchdown, fellas, we win this game. Period.
100%.
End of story. You score that touchdown because they're going to go in and go, oh shit, here we go. We did everything right, and we're still, and you win that game. So none of that. You're right. Yes, it happens in football, but we came back and we did everything to win, and we just cocked it up at the end. And I was so damn mad, not because we played bad, but because look, we played bad last year. We played bad against Charlotte, and but we won, right? We played. You play when it matters most is when you have to play.
Yep.
It's gonna happen. You're gonna have games that are close that shouldn't be close. Okay, the Rice game last year was close. Shouldn't have been close.
North
It
Texas.
was. North Texas shouldn't have been close. It was. Bottom line is play when it matters most. You got to be ready. You came back and you should have won. And it's just that damn simple. None of that other stuff matters. You had a chance to win. And I will only say it like this. If we try to go out with a freshman quarterback this week, he needs to be ready to play when it matters most.
It needs to play better. I know. You see a lot of people saying, "Well, AJ played. He played well. He was composed. He had 52% completing percentage. I mean, to me, that's not playing well. I mean, when you take a look at if you want, you keep talking about that final, final down.
We're driving. Terrible pass for the pick in the end zone. And we're driving there. I mean, we're making, we have a really good chance to score a touchdown or get a field goal there. It's just guys.
But what I don't like, or what needs to be fixed, is the play calling on, especially right there in the red zone. I mean, what the play calling, the bugaboo, it always seems to happen in games like this. It didn't happen all year, and all of a sudden it popped up. But you have that freshman quarterback. You get the false start, and you threw three straight times after DeRosier.
Why don't you understand that we don't have any timeouts and all that?
But some of them were bad passes, and when you take a look, at it that on that 3rd and 6, where he threw it low. If it was just halfway decent pass, it would have been a touchdown. And then on the 4th and 11, it was no wide receiver did a slant. I mean, everything was just out, and just like to me, you have to be more creative.
I think accuracy is an issue, and throwing across the middle is an issue in close range. But look, whatever. Like, here's the bottom line. We should have won this game. Period.
Should have won it handily.
Well, yes, but even though we didn't, they came out fired up. We didn't come out. We whatever. We cocked it away. Whatever. We still should have won the game. And that's what makes me the most angry is that, okay, you screwed around, but you still had a chance to win. And it's going to happen where if you go through the course of a year, you're going to have to win a game that you just don't play well. And that's what's frustrating about this, guys.
So what do you guys think on the decision to put Hill in there instead of Maiden? I know off air, we talked a little bit about the presser situation.
Well, I want to talk about. I'll talk about that in just a second. But the two things that jump out to me: UAB ran 43 plays in the first quarter. Memphis ran, or 21 plays. Memphis ran 6.
Right.
UAB had the ball for 12 minutes and 20 seconds. Memphis had the ball for 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And why is that? UAB's 3 of 4 on third downs. Keep in mind, this is the number 12 team in the conference. I'm going to talk about that in a second, Jeb. Secondly, how does Sutton Smith not touch the ball in the fourth quarter? He last touched the ball with 11 minutes and 43 seconds left in the game. He had 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carries. I need somebody to explain that part to me. I need somebody to, explain those two things to me, because I'm not smart. We're just 3 old guys with a podcast. But I don't understand how last week you have a guy in Sutton Smith who ran for a touchdown on the first kickoff he touched. What, against Arkansas, had that big, long touchdown run when Memphis needed it most. Why are you not putting the ball in the hands of guys to ask them to do the things they do exceptionally well, which is
make plays,
run the damn ball and make plays?
Right.
Now, as to the A.J. Hill, Arrington Maiden situation, always say this, and, whatever. There's too much money involved to think it's anything other than the coach honestly thinks that A.J. Hill's skill set gives them a better chance to win the game. Now, you have to separate two things. Is Arrington Maiden the better quarterback? And does Hill give you the best chance to win? Because those two don't have to be the same thing. It could be this week that Maiden gives you the best chance to win because of his skill set. But maybe, and again, we didn't see much from Hill. It's hard to judge going, here you go, kid, go in and get him. But you're going to see this week, maybe the way South Florida plays defense, maybe Maiden is a better option for this week. Maybe it goes back to Hill, because I think what you have to understand, if you're looking at a game logically, Memphis is not going to throw somebody out there for the sake of throwing them out there, because you had 2 things at play here, Brian. Number 1, you had that, but number 2, now that Lewis is hurt, you got 3 more shots with Hill and you're burning a red shirt. So how do you play that long game? That's my pushback on whether Maiden should have played or Hill. And no, Hill didn't play very well. But the thing is once you put him out there, once he works up a bit of a lather, he's got to be the guy. Because, who was it you say, if you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have any?
Correct.
Well, I just think this is a difficult, and I don't want to pin this on A.J. Hill, because I thought, all things considered, he played fine. Are there throws he'd like to have back? Absolutely. Did the Memphis coaching staff put the players in the best position to win this game? Absolutely not. And I'm not a question the coach guy. I don't, because I don't know as much about football as they do. But you just looked at this and you go, Memphis is out of position. I think I texted you guys this. And even on painkillers, they're reaching, they're grabbing, they're not lining guys up to tackle. Receivers are reaching for the ball. What are we doing? This came down to fundamentals. Yeah. And Memphis didn't have them, and UAB did. And UAB had to have fundamentals because they had nothing else to fall back on. Right. When you lose the second leading passer in the conference in your quarterback, you've got to just tell that kid, I've already forgotten his name, thank God, Ryder Burton, you've just got to tell him, go out there and we're gonna shrink the playbook like they used to have to do for Paxton because he was stupid. You have to shrink the playbook down and say, here are the 10 plays that Memphis defense is going to give you, and we're going to Barry Switzer this damn thing, and we're just going to run those 10 plays. They didn't do anything exotic. They just ran hooks on those little post corner slant.
And we never came out of the zone. Nope. Here's the thing. Let's go back to the Maiden Hill thing. So one thing you got to remember is that the game plan was tailored around Lewis. Okay, so you have to think about whether Maiden or Hill can go in and execute the game plan that was set for Lewis. You have to think about that, right? Which of those? So Maiden, and look, guys, I don't know enough about him to know one way or another. But Maiden's skill set may be so different from Lewis's that it just doesn't work. And so when you think about it like that, maybe Hill is a closer facsimile to Lewis. Okay, but
My only pushback on that would be, then why did Maiden come in against Arkansas?
well, in that, and
Different
again, you want to
situation.
argue that Maiden should have been in there on the goal line. I'll listen to that. But as far as, because that one play, we knew what we were going to do. We were either going to hand the ball off or he was going to run it. But either way, like, this was a no brainer, right?
And you were
You're
playing
not
to
asking him
punt
to go out
in
there
the
and make a
Arkansas
play with his
situation,
arm.
right? You're playing when Maiden got that run, Larry. You're playing to punt
Right.
in that Arkansas game,
Correct.
and so but you know that Lewis is coming right back in, right?
Yeah.
You know that he's coming right back in the game. And Larry, I honestly hadn't thought about that, but that's a great way to put it. And I've not seen Maiden throw in live action. Maiden may not have Lewis's arm is in question too, but it's like we said last year. Memphis had to adjust so much when Sutton Smith goes out, the second drive of the game,
Right.
when the coaching staff would literally tell you they built the entirety of the offense around Sutton Smith last year and had to scrap everything. And Larry, I think that's a really, really good point, is that maybe the game plan Memphis had better suited Hill's skill set. And so you didn't throw out the baby with the bathwater, because you still had 10 guys
Right.
that had, been running with the ones. So whatever, but you had guys that knew the game plan. So now you're just asking Hill to slide in, and you don't have to be Brendan Lewis. You
Right.
just have to be a reasonable facsimile thereof.
Right.
And Brian, I think that's a really good point, but again, then at the end of the game, pardon my French, you shit the bed because you're asking guys to do things they're not comfortable doing.
Here's
Well,
another point that I like to bring out. If you wouldn't have this Hill Maiden debate if Maiden or Hill, one of them. What about getting some game time in Chattanooga, 45-10? What if you got some playing time at Georgia State, 38-16? What if you got some playing time against Troy? Troy was a little different. That was a more difficult game. But you had games. What about against Tulsa, 45-7? You had opportunities, and I've said in multiple weeks, we need to see the backups play, because what's going to happen if someone gets hurt?
Yep.
well,
And here we are.
And especially the way Lewis plays. He plays, somebody asked me who I thought he played like in a basketball, and I was like, oh, that dude's Jeremy Hunt. He's tough as nails, but he lives with reckless abandon.
Right.
And as long as you're that guy, you're going to get hurt. And, I didn't go, but I saw the press conference. So we got the same, well, he's day to day. We'll see. Brendan Lewis isn't playing Saturday. I'm not ready to call him out from the year, but that injury looked really bad. Like, it was not a good look. But, and it's funny, I think, Brian, so Frank Bonner texted me earlier today, and then you asked me earlier today why nobody could find the ESPN Plus replay of the game. And I said, well, that's because nobody wanted to ever see that thing again. So, all right, so I'm done with UAB. Yeah, we've burned it. So, all right, no pressure this week. 7-0 Eric Procius with MemphisWeather.net coming in. And the goal is to go 1-0 this week in the weather department. And I got to say, Eric, backs against the wall. I hope you have a really good game plan this week.
We do just try and go 1-0 every week. And there were a lot of things you could blame last week. The weather was not one of them. So we're going to.
No, the weather was outstanding, Eric. The weather was outstanding.
The weather was outstanding. Well, I'm going to try and hold up my end of the deal again this week. And you will like the trend that we've been looking at on the computer models going into this weekend. A couple of days ago, I would have told you, guaranteed, we're probably going to have light rain for a good part of the game. That has changed over the last couple of days. And I do think there's a pretty good chance that we could get through the entire game with no precipitation. It'll be cloudy. It'll be cool. It'll be perfect football weather. We're looking at about 58 degrees at sunrise a few hours before the game. Great tailgate weather. And around kickoff, about 68 degrees, low 70s in the afternoon. A light breeze out of the east. Shouldn't have any problems with the wind playing any havoc. So once again, I'm going to put it all on the line, and I'm going to just go ahead and say that I think this game is going to get in with no raindrops. How about that?
How about that? And you have to do this for 2 straight weeks, by the way. You have 2 Saturdays responsibility this week, and I'm going to turn Jeremy Stinson loose next week. It's Bandmasters, for those who don't know, next Saturday.
Right.
All right, Eric, tell everybody how we can keep up with you and where to send the pitchforks and torches if that doesn't work.
Well, the pitchforks and torches can go to one of the broadcast meteorologists around town. I'll take all of your kudos and all of that kind of stuff. Memphis Weather 1 on Facebook, Twitter, and all of your other favorite social media channels. We'll keep the forecast updated on the website, but you can make an app on your phone so you can check it every day, every hour if you want to, and see how that forecast is looking for Saturday. But I invite you to do that and keep up with us on social media.
Awesome, Eric. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thanks. All right, Eric Procius from MemphisWeather.net, and the things kind of have moved around a little bit where we've thought that, now it may be rain-free as we wait for our friend Kelly Quinlan from Bulls Insider, hoping he'll join us here in just a couple minutes. Sorry, Jeb, we didn't mean to get you fired up again. But I will say, I'm still fired up about 2013 UCF. So there are no guarantees that in 2038, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, there's a Southern one for you, that I won't be fired up about 2025 Memphis UAB. It was inexcusable. And, I don't question effort. I try to not do that. But, man, those guys look like there was anywhere else they would rather be other than Protective Life Stadium in Birmingham, which, to be fair, sorry, Johnny, not a lot of people want to be in Birmingham anyway, but moving on. Oh, and you say you're the cursed one, Larry. It's my first miss of the year, and we drop a game, and I'm going to back that up by being out this coming week. So, yeah. You're muted there, sir. Larry, you're muted if you're trying to say something.
No. You didn't want to hear what I said. No, you know what? It's not on you. Like, this isn't on you. No, and it's really not on me either. Yes, I make a joke. Yes, there's no excuse to lose that game. 0. You win that game, and that's the end of it. Now this week, we got to talk about this week, right? Because now you've got a tall task with probably a backup quarterback. And guys, that defense is for real, REAL, real. I do have serious concerns about our ability to move the football. I had concerns with Brendan Lewis at the quarterback, and now you have to look at it and go, okay, I don't think it's an athlete problem, guys. I don't. I think we match up athletically to them. The problem is, I think I have real serious concerns about how we're going to block them up front.
Well, but I'm just flipping because, again, I'm being honest with everybody. I haven't had a chance to really dig into USF that much, South Florida that much. But, I'm flipping through here. They're dead last in the conference against the pass.
I was about to say the opponent completion percentage. Memphis opponents complete roughly 59.8%. USF opponents complete nearly 65.5%. So
now,
Memphis has a chance, but are they going to throw it?
Well, and USF, now one thing I don't think, Larry, I think you're on, is I don't know that Memphis is going to be able to effectively run the football because
Right.
USF just has such a stout, they're number 2 in the conference in rush defense. USF, they don't, coming at hell, we figured out third down conversions don't matter because Memphis was dominant in that department. Well, we see where that got them. USF's kind of middle of the road there. That last, what kills you about that last series with Memphis on the goal line. Memphis was 25 of 25 in the red zone scoring points, led the country in touchdown percentages, and you get 2 false starts and a delay of game at the 1 yard line. And, Jeb mentioned this earlier. What I'm worried about this week is losing the UAB game. That's what I'm worried about. All right, so we'll bring in our friend here, Kelly Quinlan from Bulls Insider. Kelly, how are you, sir? My Memphis fans licking their wounds a little bit. USF, no such problem as they dispatched Florida Atlantic this past Saturday.
Yeah, they have been playing really well. It's been a little bit different story than the last few years really since Coach Taggart left. They're kind of got things rolling right now. They have a lot of momentum. Byron Brown's playing pretty well. A little bit sloppy still with some throws, and a little bit sloppy in the North Texas game with some turnovers early in that game. But they're scoring the ball as well as anyone in the country right now. They're really happening on offense, and the defense is light years better than it's been in quite some time for them.
Well, and you mentioned Brown. I think the key is he's actually still playing, because that's kind of been the bugaboo with him the last couple of years.
Yeah, he's had different injury problems. He missed most of last season. And they had they've had to play different guys. They've had to do a lot of adjustments. They've had injuries this year, but they've been more contained and they've had more depth to deal with them. They lost their starting running back. They've lost some receivers, but they have the depth to actually absorb some of those injuries now. Whereas in the past, they would lose a key guy or lose Brown, and then it would all kind of fold up on them. They've done a nice job of kind of handling the various, kind of roadblocks that have hit them.
When you take a look at the USF defense, I mean, there's no secret that they're really good against the rush. But I guess, in your opinion, why are they so good against the rush, but really poor against the pass?
I think part of that is the lopsidedness of games in the second half, and teams having to become one dimensional and having to chuck the football and take vertical shots and try to get back into games. I think that's been some of it. Some of it's been, that was the one place they got hit a little bit in the portal. They lost a couple key guys. And that's hurt them a little bit. They've had some guys banged up, and they've got some younger guys kind of stepping into bigger roles. I think that's probably a little bit more of it, but I think really overall the defense has been much better. But I think that's somewhat of a function of just how the games have gone. When you're down 48-13, you're going to be airing it out. Or when you're at North Texas and, they drop a 38 bomb on you in the third quarter, it's hard to it's hard to not start chucking the ball around, right? And at that point too, they're backing off and trying to keep everything in front of them, so that's allowing things to stack a little bit. They're trying to play more guys on defense. That's been a part of it as well. I think when they have kind of their core base guys in, they've been really competitive defensively all year. The Miami game was sort of the one exception where they just were not able to move the football, and that caused the defense to kind of fall apart eventually against that offense.
Last one for me before I hand it over to Larry. There's Alex Golish. I mean, he's doing a great job. How do you see, I guess, the other job openings coming up? And do you see that maybe, I don't know about this game, but maybe later on in the season, do you see it affecting the play of the South Florida players?
And that's something you guys have been dealing with for a number of years now, right? Like Ryan Silverfield's names have been in all kinds of jobs. Golish is going to be picky about whatever he does. He's been upfront that he's happy. His family's happy as they've ever been living in Tampa. It's a good lifestyle they have. But, obviously he's going to be an attractive name, and it's a big market with very few elite coaches.
And Gainesville's open. I mean, it's right up the street. So,
Yeah, you got Florida open. You're going to have Auburn open. Probably not Florida State. I'm still kind of betting against that one unless Norvell leaves on his own there. Maybe Michigan comes open.
He's not leaving that money on the table, brother. That's not happening.
So it's been interesting. I've had private conversations with him about Florida in the past, and he's not that's not one that moves the needle that much for him. He's not it's about the fit as much as anything. Florida has like cultural issues with their leadership from the top down. And until they fix that, they're going to have to get a Lane Kiffin or someone that doesn't care about that. And for Golish, that's where it kind of gets hard, because if he waits and continues to win, he can pick a better situation than that, or a better situation than Auburn, where you have Auburn's been basically a death sentence for coaches, right? Like for you'd have to go back to the, before Terry Bowden, like for the last time they had somebody like coach there 10 years, like it's just a graveyard. They've run through they got rid of Chiswick like a year and a half after he won him a national championship. Like, so these things are starting to figure out, and you're starting to see guys, you guys cover one that has turned down jobs because the opportunity doesn't make sense or the fit doesn't make sense. I think Golish, for all of his things, he has worked some crummy jobs in his career, and I think he's going to be more careful about it.
So let's switch to the offense. Last year when we saw you guys, kind of a weird game, but the offense was, for lack of a better term, one-dimensional and not very effective. What has happened this year that has spurred the offense to such heights?
Having a mobile quarterback just changes the whole dynamic of things. With Bryce Archie or some of the other guys they've had to trot out there with Brown hurt, they just didn't have that dual threat thing. And he is so dangerous running the football. And they're so fast and skilled at the receiver positions. They're able to, if you load the box, put it in the box, they're just going to throw it over the top until they hit one of them. And that tempo they play with is really difficult. It's the double-edged sword of their thing. When it's going well, it kills teams and it wears them out. When it's not going well, it kills their own defense. So, like, they've been much better at driving the football and being more consistent and being more aggressive in the way they attack teams this year with Brown. He still misses on a lot of passes, but he makes up for it with his legs. And he's a tough dude and is not afraid of contact and will run like a running back there. And that opens up the run game for the running backs, the slot guys, their screen game that they like to use, all of those things. But a big part of it still is the vertical shots. That's a huge part of the way Golish coaches it, and the way that Tennessee offense, that Josh Heupel kind of perfected it at UCF. That fun and gun thing that they do is it's a big part of it. And they got weapons now that can stretch the field. And they were down probably their top receiver last week, and you wouldn't have noticed in that game. They were still connected and had Jeremiah Coger, who's a true freshman, like stepping up, making huge plays. Like they're very capable of attacking in a multitude of ways. And this will be the best USF team Memphis has seen in a long time in that rivalry that started to brew.
Well, so you sort of mentioned the Golish thing, and his connection to Heupel, but I'm going to go a different direction and talk about John's favorite subject, which is NIL. These are 1 and 2 in NIL money in Memphis and USF are 1 and 2, is my understanding. What has that done to USF's program, and how much has that changed the type of athletes that have come in?
So, I mean, they're above quite a few P4 teams, like
Right.
in terms of especially because they're invested so heavily in football. It's not even like at Memphis, you guys are having to split a little bit more with basketball because basketball has a huge demand. USF's spending money there, but they're not spending it in the same way. So they've invested their money and they put their chips in on football because they know that's the path to whatever's next. If it's in 5 or 10 years or whatever, then if you want to be in that game or in the conversation, you got to win now, which is what UCF did, right? And Cincinnati and Houston, for that matter, they all kind of did that and were able to jump out of the league. The league sucks. We all know it. And so
other than that, and that goes to another question, right?
Sure.
Then USF, Memphis, and Tulane, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll throw Navy on there.
Well, okay,
They've
but
been
that's
very
a whole
consistent.
different.
In football, yes, Navy, yeah.
Yeah, but that's a whole different thing, John, because that's not. This is all about money, NIL spending, and so you've got the three schools: Memphis, USF, and Tulane. Right? Those are your three. So and we acknowledge that the conference sucks, right? So how do those three schools leverage that into the next, whatever the next thing is? Because we need each other, right? For better or worse,
I think I
those
lost you
three
guys for a
schools
second
need each
there.
other. Yeah, you lost us for a second, but
Yeah. Well, your picture was back there for a second. Well,
all right.
Larry, you stole my thunder with NIL questions because
Well,
that's
I'm sorry, but but we've got USF the thing is that those three schools right now need each other. Like, we need USF to be good. USF needs Memphis to be good. Memphis needs Tulane. USF needs Tulane. We need those to be good because that's the only way we build our resume. You beat Florida, okay, but you weren't supposed to. We beat Arkansas, we weren't supposed to. But the point is, that's the only way we build our resume. And go ahead.
Well, I think you have to kind of have an SEC mentality with this, right, Kelly? Because you've got to realize that the top part of this conference, we're going to beat the hell out of each other. That's why there has been rumblings. I don't think it would happen. AAC could get two teams in because you could legitimately, at the end of the year, have a 10-2 Memphis and a 10-2 USF or 11-1. And you look at that and you go, well, both teams need to be in. But I want to talk about Larry. That never happened. I want to talk about Larry's favorite part of the game. Tell us about USF special teams and kind of, because in these games, special teams are, man, they rear their heads so much. So what about the USF special teams?
I'll go back to one point real quick about the Tulane Memphis USF thing. The irony in all that is all three of them are going to be fighting to keep their coaches again this offseason, and that's a tough spot to be in. But we'll see what happens there. In terms of USF special teams, Nico Gramatica, the kicker's really good. They're decent in return game.
I saw his grandfather kick, so I'm old. Okay, I'm just saying.
He has a little brother too that's committed, and
good.
They've got a whole clan of Gramaticas.
That's what we need, is another Dramatica kicking. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So they got Nico's great. They have a decent punter. The Alvon Isaac, the return guy, is pretty solid. They're gonna handle their business there. They've been pretty consistent. Not lights out or anything, but Nico's got good range. So I think they're good. They've covered well, cover punts pretty well. I think that they're not going to give you points there. That's something that everyone looks at, right? When you look at these games, can you steal some points here or there? You're not going to steal them there.
All right. So just a couple quick things before we let you go. First, the most important question: wet or dry ribs? That's the most important question we've asked tonight.
Oh, I like dry ribs.
That's my boy. I knew that was going to be the answer. So finally, what do you think is going to happen on Saturday? How do you see the whole thing playing out?
That's an interesting question. I feel like this is going to be USF's time to finally get Memphis. That's been the hump they haven't been able to get over. I think that this feels like a 35-28 kind of game or something like that. So I think it'll be a one-score game. I think it's going to be close. I'm curious, where Memphis is at after last week, where their heads are at. There's two kind of responses to that. Sometimes you either kind of get together or it kind of implodes on you, right? What happens to Miami every year, right? They get hit adversity and then the thing implodes on them. We saw it. We'll see if that carries over this week, but we started to see it last week with the Louisville game, right? So, what does Memphis look like? And I'll focus USF. I feel like because it's Memphis, because it's a team they haven't had success against, and there's definitely some incentive there. And they handled North Texas. It was not a competitive game in the second half.
Not at all.
And everyone was talking up North Texas, and they've looked really good other than that game. So it makes you start to think, and the way they played Florida, it makes you start to think that USF's pretty good. And so can they turn that into this is where they've always hit the bump in the road really since Levitt left, is when they've been in this opportunity to maybe win the conference or get out, and they screw that up. That's the thing that can make Golish a lot of money too, right? Like if they start winning these games and they get the conference championship, and that's what happened with Willie Fritz and a lot of other guys, or Mike Norvell, or you can go down the line. So there's a lot riding on this for everybody there. So I like their chances this week. I like the completeness of the USF team right now, and they're getting healthier at some key spots. They're still down a little bit at running back, and they're down a little bit at receiver, but they have enough guys to kind of cover up those issues.
Well, two things before we let you go. Number one, if you have not visited the west coast of Florida, it is an underrated gem in this country, from Tampa down through Fort Myers and all that. It's the much superior side. And the greatest thing about Tampa is they don't have the Orlando airport. So Kelly, tell Memphis fans how they can find you this week.
Yeah, so Bulls Insider, we're the On3 branch of the USF coverage. You can check us out. Our Twitter is USF_rivals, I believe. And it's one of those ones I always forget. And yeah, you can check us out. We have pretty good coverage of the team, the most active paid message board in the market, and a lot of diehard fans. So if you're interested in learning more, check us out. If you guys are on 3, you can read the board for free if you're subscribed to our Memphis site or whatever. So feel free to check it out.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us so much, Kelly. We really appreciate you, and good luck on Saturday at the Bulls.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy some dry ribs.
Appreciate it.
Kelly Quinlan.
Team wet ribs. Sorry.
I
had to get that in there.
Somebody call for the bell. This match is over.
I'm gonna throw your hip out.
You can't do it.
There is in between, guys, and that's called muddy.
And Central does a pretty good job with
muddy.
Yes.
So I will, for crying out loud, Brian. I thought we were friends. I'm already down.
Brian's incredulous. He's got a bad hip. And now Brian, we've lost a terrible game, and now Brian's just totally screwed up the rib thing.
So do you want me to bring my cat in here so you can kick them? Is that what we're going to do next? No, but all seriousness. Thanks for Kelly and Eric for joining us here tonight. But we move on to Saturday at Bank Liberty Stadium. And, as I look at this, I'm going to play positive Paul for a minute here. 11 a.m. game, ranked team. Strange things happen when that comes around. I'm going to guess probably Joe Tess will be on the call with Jesse Palmer. I haven't seen the notes yet, so I'm not sure. Strange things, guys. That's all I'm going to say. And, Kelly touched on it. That these things go one of two ways. And Jeb said it earlier. You let UAB beat you this week. We're going to call this Penn Stating now. We used to call it Clemsoning. They got that sort of right. It's now we're Penn Stating. So you can either Penn State it, or you can just flip this around, unite, come together, as Memphis has done after bad losses in the past, and beat a team. Because, guys, here's the reality of it. These teams are not that far apart in terms of talent. You're not that, Brian, you're the recruiting guy. I mean, but, that doesn't matter as much anymore with transfer portal. But these two teams are not that far apart in terms of talent. Mm-hmm. They're not far apart in terms of coaching. You probably have 2 of the 3 best coaches in the league. And I didn't want to say this, or I wanted to say this to Kelly, but I forgot. Does anybody feel like Alec Golish is kind of Matt Rule 2.0? Like he's that tough guy that is good at his job and people genuinely like? Because I'll say the 3 best coaches in the conference are, you would say, probably the 3 most likable guys in the conference. Because as much hell as I give the Tulane fan base, Summerall's a super nice, he's likable. But as you look at this, you tend, they say, and you guys, we played, so, the team takes on the mindset of the coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Golish is a tough dude. Like, that dude is just tough as nails. And he comes across as being like Matt Rule. And We saw what those Temple tough teams did with Matt Rule. And now, it's kind of, Brian, you say this all the time. Like, he just needs an offense that's serviceable because he's got a solid defense. So he just needs an offense that is serviceable, just like Memphis just needs a serviceable defense that we would have argued before last week. So without giving away bold predictions and scores, what are you looking at this week, Brian?
I'm looking at the reaction. How are the players reacting? How are the coaches reacting? I think the first series for Memphis offense and defense will tell us everything. Are they really up to it? Are they really ready to forget last week? Because, like everyone said, it's everything is still in front of them. You went out. You're in the American Championship game. I mean, there's no questioning that. So how do you come out? Are you fired up? Are you focused? That's what I'm really interested in seeing. And obviously, that's the 1A. The 1B is who's going to play quarterback. I mean, that will tell you everything too.
Larry, what is the thing you're looking at this week?
Body language. And not just of the players. Because I think one of the things that gets underrated is that the coaches get shell shocked too. And I think they were surprised and shocked at how badly the team played. And we can lose this team quickly right here. I mean, you've got to come out and because this next little bit is going to be a tough run, right? You got USF, then you got Rice, then you got Navy, then you got Tulane, right? That's
and ECU in there,
and ECU at
you got
ECU.
Tulane and Navy switched up. It's
Right.
It's USF, Rice, Tulane, Tulane, ECU, Navy.
Right. I mean, we got a tough 5-game stretch here. It's just facts. So we got to get our quarterback situation figured out quick, whatever they're going to do. And you got to get you've still got all the weapons. Whatever we're going to do, what I'm really looking at is, can we get an offensive game plan around one of our quarterbacks that can move the ball on USF? And if we can, we got a chance, guys. We got a chance. It's scary because if you put Brendan Lewis back there, I like our chances, right? But
Healthy Brendan Lewis.
A healthy Brendan Lewis, I like our chances. But, in this current situation, Brian, I think I'm not going to go the first series, but I'll say after the first quarter, we're going to know if we can move the ball on them or not.
So, as most of you know, I've been a lifelong wrestling fan, and I'm going to tie this into professional wrestling. When John Cena debuted in the WWE, his last match is actually December 13th, I think. Man, it's going to be a tough watch. But how he started his first night was Kurt Angle, who was the champion at the time, called him, or he came out to the ring, and Kurt Angle said, "What makes you different that you think you can stand up here with me?" And 2 words, and it started an era: ruthless aggression. And I think that's what I'm looking for from this staff. The players are going to play. I don't have any doubt about that, because the players were embarrassed last week. Let's just call it what it is. And when you embarrass 18 to 22-year-old kids, when you give them what the kids call B to A, now the players are embarrassed. But are the coaches going to channel that inner John Cena, that anger, and say, you know what, we have to be aggressive? Because I'll just say it. That's what killed Memphis against UAB on the defensive side of the ball. The flat out refusal to be aggressive. And I don't know why. You're better at them in every position. But again, we're talking about UAB again. And that's the problem. You don't want the Memphis team talking about UAB. It's the Tuesday before what was supposed to be your biggest game of the year. And for Memphis, frankly, it is the biggest game of the year, because if Memphis doesn't win this, now you've got 2 losses in the conference and you are almost assuredly out of the conference championship race. But I think it's we've all said the same thing: mentality, body language, aggression. How is Memphis going to call the game? How is Hankins going to go back to being the crazy person that we love, where, it's 3rd and 4 and he's bringing a cover 0 house? Like, that's who Memphis is. And the absurdity that happened, I do want them to remember something. The absurdity of that situation from the 1-yard line last week, where you were given chance after chance after chance, and you mucked it up. You did the find out portion about the first portion. You effed around and then you found out. I firmly believe that Memphis has to come out and has to have just ruthless aggression, because Brian, you said it best. You went out. You have nothing to lose. Nothing. If you win the game, great. If you lose the game, you tried and you did everything you could. And we've all been saying it. Well, they haven't put much on tape because they don't, they're holding stuff back for South. Guys, the holding back time, it's over. It's nut cutting time. And I frankly don't know what happens. But Brian or Larry, we'll start with you. Give us, and shout out to Jeb. Talk about a man that has manifested and has believed. We should all believe in something, as much as Jeb believed that Memphis was going to get a touchdown return on a special teams play. So anyway, Larry, your bold prediction for this week.
My bold prediction is that Memphis actually can run the football. We have over 150 yards rushing, and we score a couple of touchdowns on the ground.
My bold prediction is the Memphis quarterback who starts the game will not be the quarterback who finishes the game.
Let's see. All right, so my bold prediction, my oxycodone-inspired bold prediction. I think we kick 4 or more field goals in this game. I'll just use that. Gianni Spedic, you're on the clock, my man. And I think he makes all 4. But anyway, Brian, we'll start with you. We will look up at that Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium scoreboard in the south end zone at, we'll go with what? 2:39 p.m. Central Time. And it will say...
Yeah. It's going to go one of two ways.
Oh, okay.
I know. Memphis gets blown out like 51-10. But I don't see that, and here's why. The past 6 losses that Memphis has had, they've won the next game. So they're 6-0 after a loss, the past six losses. Overall, they're 14-6 after a loss in the Silverfield era. The only losses were in the 2021 and 2022 season when they were both 3-3 after a loss. I think this is going to be close. Like I said, what quarterback starts the game, I don't think that quarterback finishes the game. But I do see, I feel Memphis will rebound strong. They can win this game. Will they? We'll see. But I'm going to say Memphis 33 on a last-second field goal to South Florida 31. 33-31.
Larry.
I hope Brian's right. Again, the lack of Brendan Lewis here is just really tough. They've got a great defense. If we had Brendan Lewis in the back, a healthy Brendan Lewis, I would like our chances here. I really do at home. Without him, I just don't think we can consistently move the football enough, and their offense is too good. I'm going to say South Florida 38, Memphis 24.
I guess it's my turn now.
You're the tiebreaker.
That's right. Because Brian, you're right. You're right. This game could go one of two ways, and I'm with you. I don't think it's the first way, because I just think Memphis has too many good players.
Yep.
To see that happen. This isn't, sometimes like with Arkansas, if this were the Arkansas game, we'll just use them. Although they're not great, if this were the Arkansas game, the Tigers would get their doors blown off. 51-10, like you were saying, because you're crushed from a terrible loss. And now, you have to get up for this game. And it's not easy to do. I think that this is South Florida's year. And I felt that from the beginning of the year. And I said, look, Memphis is going to drop a game they shouldn't. I just thought it would be Florida Atlantic or Troy, and it turned out to be UAB. But I think Silverfield's got to flip the script on, because the script on him, and it's at this point fair. Build up a bunch of wins against bad teams, and then when the lights shine really bright, whatever. And I do think officiating is going to play a role. USF will be 2015 to 2018. UCF will be played by 2023 USF. I think you're going to see some of that. I'm not an officials guy, but you're going to see some of that.
Business decisions will be made.
I'm going to go the identical score from the UAB game, 31-24 USF. But I think the difference might be this week that, I think it'll play out probably the same. I think USF will jump out and kind of pull back the reins, and Memphis will work their way into the game. Actually, I'll say 31-27, because I'm sitting here trying to do math to get my 4 field goals to get 12, and that's going to mean a touchdown and a touchdown with a 2-point conversion. So we'll go 27. But I just think, I don't know. I think, we are all hungover today, and it's going to be hard for us as a collective fan base for Memphis fans to kind of put this one behind them and, get excited. But, if you're going to be excited about a game, it better be Saturday, because again, all is not lost. Everything is not lost here. Look, you beat USF, you go down, you take care of Rice, you come home the next Friday night, you have Tulane at home, and then you go on the road. The one I'm most concerned about, here's why you couldn't drop UAB. November 15th, Greenville, North Carolina. That's why you couldn't drop UAB. Because we talk about this all the time, that SEC titles are almost never lost in Athens at 7 p.m. on a Saturday. Hell of a lot of them been lost at 11 a.m. in Columbia, Missouri,
right,
on a random Saturday. But I think you just remove your margin for error. But the message to the team this week would be, hey, that sucked. There's a reason we can't find it on ESPN Plus, and we had to go find a bootlegged copy on YouTube from terrible angles. Like there's a reason, because we don't want to see it again, and nobody wants to see it. But I just think 31-27, this just feels like USF's going to be too good. And Jeb's probably right. If they get up and have the chance, they're gonna come after Memphis this week. They're gonna, they have a chance. They're not going to hold back. All right, so that'll do it for this week. We will be back next Tuesday night, same bat time, same bat channel. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. For the best co-hosts in all the land, Larry Marley and Brian Moss, this is John Maddox signing off, saying we will see everybody next week.